Okay, good evening. I'd like to call to order the Clarkson Independence District Library Board of Trustees, March 12, 2018. Welcome to the first day of more sunlight. And we'll call the meeting to order at 6 p.m. I'd like to see everyone to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Dan Gaffney. Here. Michelle Ginn. Here. Dan Green.
Here.
Mary Himberg. Here. Allison McFadden-Keesland. Here. Marilyn Pomeroy.
Here.
And Ann Rose.
Here.
Julie Hardy. Here.
Excellent. I'll accept a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Okay. Where are we here?
I first did.
She first.
Okay, thank you.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the agenda as presented. Are there any questions or comments? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Agenda is approved. Next, we'll have our call to the public.
The Friends of the Library General Membership Meeting is Thursday, March 22nd. You're all invited to come. Connor McNamara is going to do a presentation on the new website, the whole library website, but he's going to focus on the Friends section of it also. They've done a really good job on that. We're also going to go over the library wish list for the spring. And the Imagine That Teen Art Show, the 10th annual one, is coming up on Wednesday, the 28th of March from 6 to 8 p.m. This is a marvelous show with a lot of teen art. They do a fabulous job with that. So you can stop in and vote on your favorite pieces. The book sale, spring book sale, is coming up the last full week of April. We are working on trying to be able to use credit cards. So we'll see if we get that up and running by this book sale, but we're working on it. We also have new yard signs for the book sale. They're bright purple background, so you're not going to be able to miss them. They're really cool looking. Your spring newsletter should have arrived. They've done a really nice job on that again. The Battle of the Books that is sponsored by the Friends, we purchase extra books for the students to use, and we also provide all the prizes for both the middle school battle and the elementary district battle. The middle school battle is in the books already, and it was absolutely fantastic, the creativity they showed in designing posters and costumes for this. It's just, if you ever get a chance to attend one, it's absolutely awesome to see what the kids are doing that way. The elementary district battle is Tuesday the 27th of this month, so we'll see how they do.
What time is it?
The elementary one, I think it's at 6 o'clock, and last I knew, they didn't know exactly where.
Okay.
So it will be published.
Will it be at one of the elementaries?
Usually, but they were thinking because there are so many parents that attend that one that they were trying to get the middle school. So I don't know if they have gotten the middle school or if it's going to be at one of the other elementaries. Okay. So, but this is the first year that all of the elementary schools in Clarkson are participating in the district battle. So that is going to be neat. And they are all having their own school battles this week. And the top two teams from each school will go to the district battle. We are going to have some open board positions on the Friends board. Library advisory, because Julie Sislowitz, who is usually here, is our president-elect. And so next year she'll be busy as the president of the Friends. So we're looking for a new library advisory person. Also somebody to chair the book sales. And we have that down to a science now, so it wouldn't be that difficult. And somebody to coordinate the newsletter, because right now Julie is kind of coordinating that for us, so we would like somebody to do that. So if you know of anybody who might be interested in those positions, and we're going to discuss them at the general membership meeting too. That's it. Any questions?
You're busy.
Yes, this is the busy time of year.
Well, we like the outreach also, so we're very pleased to hear about that. Thank you. We will close the call to the public now at 6:05. I'll accept a motion to approve the consent agenda. We have 4 items tonight.
I so move.
I'll second it.
It's been moved and seconded. Does anyone wish to address any individual item? If not, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion is carried. Library statistics.
Okay, so I have some notes from Trevor in terms of statistics. This is something you don't technically see on your statistical report, but it's good information to know. In January, we did a constant contact drive, so that's our email service that we send out emails to the people who subscribe to it. We increased our subscribers by 11%, so that was really exciting. So we went up to 1,041. It's a 33% increase from February of 2017 when we only had 780, so big jump. So that's really exciting. Tina wanted me to share with you the pictures of our 3 Lego building contest winners, so I will pass these down so you can take a look. They're really cute. I believe the theme was libraries in space, so it's very, very cool, very creative. And then in terms of statistics, just a couple things I wanted to point out that, that were interesting. We did see a 37% increase in our downloadables. We saw a decrease in our computer users, which was offset by an increase in our wireless users. We did have a 27% increase in children's and teen programs as well, so some interesting things going on. We had a slight decrease in visitors, but the one thing that we were talking about earlier today was that it doesn't take into consideration, it's a door counter essentially, so it counts every time the laser is broken at the door, and then we divide by 2 because we assume everybody comes and goes. But it doesn't take into consideration the length of time people stay. And so where we have some traffic where people just come and go, what it doesn't really measure, and I'm not sure how we would, is people who come and stay for a period of time, because one of the things we've been noticing is students coming in and studying together, working on projects together, so they come and spend quite a long time in the library as opposed to just popping in and dropping off books. So it's an interesting thing, we're seeing a drop, but it feels like usage is up. So I'm not really sure how we capture that part of it, but it's an interesting observation anecdotally.
Okay. So anyone have a question about any of the monthly summary or the totals? Thank you for keeping us informed.
Would you think the weather would have something to do with visitors too?
Oh, it always does. And
Yeah.
we never know what's going to happen with that. And you can actually we can look at it annually, weekly, monthly, daily, and yeah, if we were to keep track of the weather, we would see some serious drop off when the weather's nasty. Yeah, we don't get people. So.
Okay. The library director's report.
Okay. In late February, when our facilities technician from Allied was working on a project to swap out damaged ceiling tiles, he discovered water dripping from the library's fire suppression system in 3 separate locations. We've had this happen before. Since it is a dry system and the system had not armed, this would be caused by condensation. So this isn't really an emergency, but it's something that we needed to look into. So we brought in a technician from the company we used to maintain the fire suppression system to assess the issues. In this case, the pipes were showing some corrosion in those locations, but the system was not compromised. However, we need to have them replace approximately 40 feet of pipe. In order to prevent disruption of library operations, this work should be done when the library is closed. Fortunately, the library is already scheduled to be closed on Good Friday, which this company does not classify as a day with a holiday upcharge for service. So I'll go ahead and work on that day so the technicians can come in and make that repair, and hopefully the cutting of the pipes I won't be able to hear it in my office hopefully. So we'll see, I don't know. But anyway, they can get that done and they can take as long and make as much noise as they want. The field work for the library's audit process for 2017 will take place next week. The accountant, administrative assistant, and I are finishing up preparations for their visit. In terms of projects, we had our initial meeting with Library Design Associates to discuss plans for the redesign of the business area and the development of a small makerspace station in the children's area. Over the coming months, plans for those two projects will be finalized and proposals will be presented to the board, so you'll see that coming in the coming months. During his visit, the representative from Library Design Associates and I also revisited our discussions regarding space planning in the delivery room. Unfortunately, the company they usually use for compact shelving, the space-saving strategy we would like to use in that area, has decided to quit business. Not sell the business, just quit business. So this means Library Design is rethinking our project and helping us to investigate different brands of similar products. In addition, I'm back in discussions with the Township Building Department regarding a small outbuilding on the library's property. Because the west side of the property meets up with the utility easement, there are guidelines regarding what can be built nearby, so we need to make sure that our plans follow those rules, because if we put it in there and it's not up to code, then they'll just make us take it back down, so we don't really want to do that. In terms of collaborations, over the past few months, I've been working with a committee of representatives from various organizations, the senior center, schools, etc., regarding lifelong learning in our service area. We're reviewing what each group is doing, looking for collaborative opportunities, as well as preventing overlap and discussing ways to cross-market. We're hoping to ensure that the community is providing something for everyone and make sure everyone knows about all of these various opportunities. Next item, once again, the library is involved in the Clarkson Community Awards Breakfast Committee. In its 33rd year, this project brings the community together to recognize the outstanding people, organizations, and endeavors that make Clarkston great. The deadline for nominations has been pushed back to March 17th, and the breakfast will take place on Tuesday, May 22nd at 7:30 a.m. At the Clarkston Community Church. So mark your calendars for that. The library is also involved in the Community Impact Weekend Committee. This is an event that takes place twice each year, on the last weekend in April and the first weekend in November, to bring nearly 800 volunteers each weekend to work together to work on projects that serve low-income seniors, food banks, community gardens, schools, veterans, civic organizations, and more. This is a great opportunity for students to work on community service hours, for families to work side by side, or to meet new people working together to improve the community we love. The Spring Impact Weekend will take place on Saturday, April 28th and Sunday, April 29th, and the Friends of the Library book sale cleanup will be one of the many projects on that list. Lastly, a few years ago, an instructor at Baker College was teaching an architectural class in which the students had an assignment to design a library. In order to give these future architects the most realistic experience possible, the instructor created a panel of community members who would react to their designs. At that time, I was invited to be on the panel as the library representative. It was a great experience with the instructor and students visiting our library after they developed their drafts in order to see how some of the design elements might function or fail in real life. This instructor is once again teaching a section of this class, but this time asked if he could bring the students to the library prior to beginning their work. The head of circulation and I took the students on a tour of the inner workings of our library, and the students interviewed us about what we like and what we would change about our library to incorporate into their work. We were then invited to be on the panel to review their projects. The experience has been even better than the last as we watch these forward-thinking young students interpret what a library can be. Some of these students are regular library users and others are not, so this has given us some fascinating insights into how libraries are perceived, both good and bad, and what we might do to change those perceptions and our services to stay relevant going forward. So really it's been a nice symbiotic relationship working on this project. So it's been a lot of fun.
Thank you. You've been busy.
It's been busy, yes, it's been busy.
All right, let's move to regular business. Trevor is here, and we're going to discuss a review of the Business Resource Center agreement.
I'll do a little bit of a lead-in for you.
Sure.
In 2011, the library conducted focus groups and a survey to better understand library needs within the community. Our library service area is primarily a bedroom community with independent entrepreneurs and small businesses. The data gathered in 2011 indicated that having a specialist at the library to engage with the business community would be an asset to this demographic as well as support the economic growth of these types of businesses. When the millage passed in 2014, the library added a business and marketing librarian position and has been engaging in networking and supporting our local businesses in a variety of ways. As has been discussed, the library will be adapting the current space dedicated to business resources to make it more inviting, interactive, and useful. In the coming months, the board will see a proposal to transition the space to include an additional conference space. Tonight's presentation will describe an opportunity to put our library on the map in regards to the innovative ways we support our local businesses and encourage economic growth. And I think when I looked at this particular project, I don't know that this is something that the board technically would need to approve the agreement based on what they're really asking us to do. But I thought it was a great opportunity for you to hear about it, for Trevor to present it and talk about some of his vision and the things he's working on, and also to endorse the project. I thought it would be nice for you to be able to do that. So, take it away, Trevor.
Awesome, thanks, Julie.
Yep.
So while I'm passing out this handout, I'll give an even more recent update about the constant contact updates. So the PAC Pass outreach has gone really well, and we've gotten a lot of new contacts to our constant contact database through them, and we now have over 1,100, which puts us up, I think I calculated 50% from February of 2017. So we now have over 1,100 people in our database. It's really important for us to be able to contact them that way. So we have, even more now. 50% in just over a year is really good, because it's really going to take a lot for us to get to where we need to be, but that's an awesome start, because it's really a lot of people in a very short amount of time. And as I do more outreach, with PAC Pass, I anticipate we'll get, up to 2,000 probably in the next year and a half. I was going to mention something else before I started, but now I've forgotten what it was. Anyway, so the Small Business Development Center, I've had a relationship with them since 2013. Has anyone heard of the Small Business Development Center? Awesome, so I get to introduce it to you. So as you can see in your handout, it is funded from several organizations under the logo there. And so what they primarily do is, help entrepreneurs grow, start, expand. They offer counseling, they'll help you with your business plan. They have a lot of awesome classes. They're either free or low cost. So my relationship with them started in 2013. We became a business resource center up in Grand Blanc. At the bottom of your page, you can actually see other libraries in our area that already are active partners. There isn't actually one really, really close. I think they have an office in Pontiac at the Oakland County One stop. And so I thought this would be a really nice addition to the library for a few reasons. So my relationship with them has always been really good. They have a lot of really helpful instructional booklets and classes. I've talked to many people who they have this idea, but they have no idea where to start.
Right.
And that's what SBDC is really good for. And so when I get those people, I always, the first thing I would say is, okay, you're new. I can't teach you A to Z how to do all this stuff. Like, that's not what our role is, but I know an organization that does this all the time. And so I would hand them their really awesome How to Start a Business large brochure. It's very specific to the state. It talks about all the different types of businesses, and I would send them over there. And so we did a lot of referrals back and forth. It was a good way to promote the library to people who would never walk in our doors. And so, I know what I was going to tell you. So she mentioned a little bit about this is why we have a business librarian. This is what he's going to do. So last year, I kind of calculated all the things I did. I came here at the end of February last year. I went to over 900 events in 2017. This involves committee meetings, breakfasts, lunches, chamber meetings, other events in the community, whether it be outreach to the farmer's market or to a school. 900. No, or is it 90? Oh, crap. Erase that, Kevin. I think it's 90.
I was going to say, you were doing this multiple times
The
per
stats
day.
in the back of my head, I haven't accessed it in a few months, and it's a little great. I'm sorry, 90 events.
90 is still a lot.
So, yeah, it was 90, and I think by the end of the year, I was up to about 100 events. And that's not quite as impressive, but it's still a lot. In 11 months.
We were concerned you couldn't do anything
What
else.
kind of average would that be per month? I would just never be in the building.
We have seen you, so.
90 events in 1 year. So I think the community is getting a lot for one staff person who's really trying to be a lot of places where business members are. I love that part of my job. I love doing the outreach. I've gotten tons of clients, from doing that, and there's a lot of good, referral that's going back and forth, because people know that they can get leads from me, and it doesn't cost them anything because of our databases. That is the most popular thing that the library offers currently to existing business owners, is free leads. Whether it's new movers or new business owners, it's very valuable to them. So that's what I was going to say. So I was very busy last year, when to kind of know, what I'm doing, where I'm going. So when I was talking to the regional director, we would be part of the Detroit region of SBDC. They're located in EMU, I believe, and I think they also have an office downtown in Detroit. And so I was talking with Wendy Thomas. I wanted to do this for about a year, but she was really busy. They were going through an office transition, and we kind of had to wait until things kind of slowed down. So when I talked to her, she was really happy that I started the conversation again. And she emailed us the agreement. And so it's not a contract. There really isn't anything that they expect from us other than kind of have a space, have a person who is in charge of those services. Obviously, they need someone who's actively promoting business resources in the community and in the library. Like an impossible cross-promote. And so, like in the past, I've gotten signage, to let people know that we're partnered with SBDC, that we're actively promoting, the business services we're trying to help in. We're a place to go, because it really is, I can't tell you, almost every time I go to an event or like a chamber luncheon or something, it's not quite as blanket as, what are you doing here? But it's like, oh, I've never seen someone from the library, in this group. That happens a lot. And so there's a lot of perceptions that I'm kind of coming up against, but it's really a pleasure to inform them kind of exactly what we offer and all the things, that maybe we do that, they wouldn't expect from us. And so, it's always fun to kind of break down someone's perception of what I am as a librarian. I don't have a bun and I don't shift people. Which is it's terrible, but it's what people think about. And I'm not going to necessarily, check out a book. There's lots of other things I can do too. And so number 3 on the list, I've kind of touched on it briefly, but that really is powerful, because every time we're putting a library staff person inside another situation, an organization, a community, a network, it really opens countless doors. I've had people from Costco refer people to me because I know the Costco rep, for example. You never know, where you're going to get a referral from. And so, I don't know that that's going to happen with Detroit. It's a little bit further away. But we'll see, because they might end up hosting a program where we choose them. She mentioned that to me on the phone, because I don't know how often they have classes and stuff up in this area. They probably do a lot more in Pontiac, because that's where, the Business One stuff is. But of course, after the Business Center is done, we're going to have a fantastic, very professional space where you can have a meeting or, any type of event that SBDC might be interested in. So one of the other advantages is that on their website, which is on the sheet, there's actually a map of all their locations, whether it be a district office or business resource center. And so there's a lot of libraries already on the on the map, and we're not one of them yet. And I really want us to be there, because we do a lot for the businesses, in the community. And I literally want the library to be on that map, so people can find us. I think it also kind of demonstrates in a very easy, low-cost way, essentially, that we're already doing the work that the SBDC wants us to do. This is kind of just I want the stamp on what the library has already said, yes to it, and we've been doing it ever since Melissa was hired a few years ago. So we really don't necessarily need to change anything that we're doing. It's just kind of saying, hey, we're here, this is what we're doing. And this other organization recognizes that and says yes. And of course, it lends a little bit of credibility to what we're doing already, which is kind of nice. So this is, to me, it was a no-brainer, because it's something that is really established and recognized in the business community. As you know, we already provide SCORE business counseling. It's not the most popular thing. It's something that it's very niche. And so when I get someone who's interested, they're very appreciative. And so SBDC is also like it. It's a very niche thing that isn't necessarily useful to everybody, but is really, really useful and recognized to people in the business community, because they do a lot of work. So I think it's great, the agreement. I will mention that I didn't know she was going to put my name on the last page, and so it's up to Julie whether she's the one who is to sign it or not. It says my name on it, but that I did not put my name there. I've had a director in the past, sign it, so that's up for debate. That's obviously Julie's decision, but yeah, it's a pretty cool opportunity.
Okay, so already, in essence, we're doing many
Absolutely.
of these things.
Yeah.
And now this is an opportunity to expand the knowledge that we're doing it.
Exactly.
And encourage more.
It's to promote it. I mean, it's something where they're obviously looking for community partners. I mean, essentially, Business Resource Center is SBDC kind of more embedded in the community, like, and who better to do it than libraries, which is why they actively partner with libraries all over the state. You do kind of have to reach out to them. It's not something where they're kind of asking everybody. They don't have time for that, I don't think. They're very busy. And so, yes, we already provide, all the support that a library can. We have awesome resources. We have a person who is in charge of it, and we're in the community, which is the most important thing we can do, is to, be in front of their face.
And make them more aware that we're here to assist.
Absolutely. Okay.
Okay.
Sure.
Any other questions or comments? We are very much in favor of this.
Awesome. I appreciate that.
So, as Julie says, we probably do not need a motion, but I think it would certainly be apropos.
I put one in your packet thinking you might like to endorse the project because I think it's a great project and I talked to a few of you about it, you knew it was kind of coming down the pipe. And then you could take this opportunity to determine who you would like to have sign the agreement, whether you want me to sign the agreement, whether you're okay with Trevor signing the agreement, however you would like to do that. I'm good with that, so.
And I think Trevor ought to because he's done all this work.
And he's the business librarian.
He's right there, yeah, he's right up front.
Yep.
These people, I don't have a problem with that.
Very good. I don't either, that's why I said I just wanted to put it out there.
No, I don't either. I think that's fine. That's who they're familiar with, who they're used to dealing with, and
That's his
And
position.
it's not legally binding, so.
yeah, it did appear to be fairly easy
Yeah.
to get out of it.
Yeah.
Get out of it. So, and it's not committing, any huge expense or anything, or any, we guarantee that this, and this are going to happen. It's just, no. So I don't see an issue with that. It certainly seems like that would be within your authority to do that.
Would someone like to make such a motion?
So moved.
Okay.
So you want me to, I can read what's here, or we can.
I'll reiterate it.
Put Trevor's name in.
Yeah.
Okay, it's been, the motion has been made to approve the agreement between the Michigan Small Business Development Center and the Clarkson Independence District Library, and to authorize Trevor Wynn, our business librarian, to sign on behalf of the library.
A second.
Okay, any questions or comments? That was a very thorough presentation. Thank you. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. It's another good idea. Thank you.
Awesome, thank you.
Okay, budget adjustment time.
Near the end of 2017, Clarkson Independence District Library was awarded a grant by the American Library Association to develop coding programs for young people at the library. The programs associated with the grant were proposed to take place from late 2017 into spring of 2018. The total grant award was $12,500. The ALA issued a check in late 2017 that was deposited into line 818.780 Special Events Grant Projects. At the end of 2017 fiscal year, funds that had not been used would have reverted into fund balance. At the end of 2017, the amount spent was $7,050, with $5,450 reverting into fund balance. In order to allow this grant project to be completed in 2018, the remaining funds that reverted into fund balance just need to be moved back into the budget for 2018 through a budget adjustment into line 818.780. So legally, we are bound to spend this money in this way, but the problem is because it is straddled by fiscal year.
Yeah, because
It's
of
slid
how our
out of the
fiscal
budget
year
and
is.
we need to slide it back in, so.
Procedural issues.
Yes, it's
All
just a
right.
procedural thing.
Okay,
So I will move to approve a budget adjustment of $5,450 from fund balance to line 818.780, special events, grant projects.
Second.
okay, it's been moved and seconded that we approve the budget adjustment of $5,450 from the fund balance to line item 818.780, special events and grant projects, in order to complete this project. All those any other comments or questions? All right, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. And the motion is carried. Money moves so easily, doesn't it? Next item.
Okay. Review the Sashwell Road Corridor Improvement Authority information from the Township Supervisor. After the Library Board President and Library Director met with Township Supervisor, Township Attorney, and Township Assessor regarding the Corridor Improvement Authority, the Township Supervisor provided a summary explanation of their request and some additional information. I am putting that in your board packet for your review. I don't know if you have anything that you want to talk about or discuss, or if you just want to.
I appreciate that they brought up the actual dollar amounts, and it's a good spreadsheet.
Let me
Still
get
not
clear
sure
on,
that that's what we should be doing.
let me get clear on one thing. We have already opted out for this year.
We have
This
opted
whole
out.
year.
Yep, you can opt in, well, you've opted out of the
Right,
project
exactly, but,
completely.
I mean-
Yep. At this point, if you could choose to opt back in at any time, so it's not just for the year, it's a matter of, yep. I guess at this point, they've given us information, do you have any questions you need me to take back to them, or anything you need me to review? Or you can review it and get back to me and let me know if something occurs to you.
I believe we probably need some time to review this.
Okay.
And if you have questions about it individually, call Julie
Okay.
with that, and we will consider this then at a later date. They are trying to get together and kind of finalize some of this. As I drove on Sashwell, see why. So definitely there is a concern to move this project on. So we thank them for the additional information, and we will take that under consideration. It may be that at some time we need a special workshop to address this particular issue. So as you're reading this and have questions for Julie, please do that, and we will take this under advisement at this time.
Very good.
Thank you. I totally agree with them.
Is that acceptable?
I think so.
I agree with that.
That's the best.
Okay, let's take a look at the year-to-date review of the 2018 budget.
Okay. Each year, the library board works on the budget beginning in the spring so that it can be reviewed and approved at a public hearing in September. While we use a variety of data to plan ahead and predict budget needs and expenses as accurately as possible, it is not uncommon for additional data and changes to occur after the budget has been approved. So I'll review the year-to-date budget, focusing on changes that have occurred since it was approved in September. So you have two documents in front of you. One of them is sort of a summary, and the other one is a spreadsheet. Oh, there's a summary. Okay, so since the approval of the 2018 budget in September, the following things have occurred. The library board did approve an amendment to the 2018 budget. In December, you approved an amendment to transfer $15,000 from undesignated revenue into line 933 equipment maintenance to cover a lease and service agreement for all the copiers and printers in the library. The cost of this project was not complete in order to be able to include it when the budget was approved, so undesignated revenue was set aside at that time to allow the cost to be plugged into the budget when the cost calculation was complete. So if you look at this spreadsheet, you'll see the original approved budget is the second column in. And you'll see that under equipment maintenance, we had budgeted $46,100. And there was $72,324 in undesignated revenue. You can see that at the bottom. In the next column, the approved amended 2018 budget, you can see that equipment maintenance went up to $61,100. And at the bottom, that difference, that undesignated revenue went down to $57,324. Okay, item number 2, changes to healthcare expenses. The 2018 budget had to be approved before the final premiums for 2018 healthcare expenses were available. Line 716, health insurance was estimated based on 2017 premiums with a 7% increase, which was the estimated increase predicted by HAP. However, when the initial premiums were released by HAP in October, our insurance agent suggested that we make some comparisons and consider options that had not been available to us previously that might provide savings for both the library and staff. The Employee Benefits Committee reviewed the options, gathered staff input, and made a recommendation to the board. 3 factors provided an expected savings of just over $35,000. First thing, The updated plan, reviewed by the staff and approved by the board, is an age-rated plan that has better coverage but is less expensive. Number 2, the insurance agent suggested and the board approved a new Medicare supplement plan for our 2 Medicare-eligible employees that provided significant savings to both the library and these 2 employees. And number 3, as of January 1st, 2018, we did have an employee that opted out of the library's healthcare coverage in order to switch to spouse's coverage. So there were 3 elements that went into that. So if you look back at the spreadsheet and you go to the final column for potential changes in 2018, these are not changes you have made, these are just things that to keep in mind. That from the approved amended budget, health insurance would have been $109,300. With that expected savings of just over $35,000, that would take the amount that we anticipate needing in that line item down to $74,300. Okay. So one of the things I wanted to point out, and part of the reason that we're going over this is because the library staffing committee feels very strongly that we need to track very carefully our percentages. So the 2018 budget in terms of staffing as approved, we understand that you usually want to keep your staffing in the library between 50 and 65% of the total budget. So as approved, the amount would have been 59%. So we're well under that 65%. With this healthcare reduction, that takes us down to 57.3% of the budget. Now at this point we haven't actually moved anything, that money is still sitting there waiting in case we need it, but at some point we could determine that, that money could be moved to other places and used for other projects. Okay, last item that has come up is the Corridor Improvement Authority. Due to a change in law that took place in late 2016, the library was put in a position to be able to opt out of the Sashbaugh Road Corridor Improvement Authority. Only one opportunity to opt out is given, but opting in can occur at any time. In October 2017, the library board voted to opt out in order to provide more time to review all options. As of December 31st, 2017, the library's millage is no longer subject to this capture unless or until the library board determines to opt the library's millage back in. The amount of the capture that had been expected and budgeted for 2018 was $12,946. Going back to that last page, that spreadsheet again, you can see that if we were to change our budget for the $35,000 for healthcare and under the revenue, zeroing out that tax capture, because that's of course a negative number, it would potentially move our undesignated revenue, even after that $15,000 we put toward the copiers, back up to $105,270. So, if you do that, the other thing that would change, because it alters the budget, it would change the percentage of our staffing in terms of the total budget, take it down to 57%. Okay? Any questions, concerns about that? No. Nope. Okay. Very good.
Okay, anybody have any comment or? That's good. We always like to see your revenues up a little rather than down a little, but, yep. Okay, so that's clear, unless we have other changes made later in the year. All right, number 5, let's review and approve the glass replacement and HVAC upgrade for the computer lab.
Okay, this one's going to take a minute. The library building was built just as the internet was emerging, so the room that is currently the adult computer lab was not designed to support so much technology. During the economic downturn, when computer lab usage in that space was very high, the accumulating heat from an eastern-facing exterior window, more computers than the room was designed to accommodate, and people working in the space would overwhelm the room and even shut down the computer server. The only solution we could afford was to remove the glass from the interior windows to alleviate the problem. This cost-effective solution allowed us to successfully use the room as needed for the past 10 years. Since the library was a township department, the glass from the windows was able to be used elsewhere in the township. So you need to know I don't have the glass anymore. But it did get utilized. More recent engagement efforts with the community have indicated that there is great need for small meeting spaces within the library service area. In addition, the increase in library users bringing their own devices and making use of the library's Wi-Fi and newly renovated adult seating area with powered tables has lessened the need for a dedicated adult computer lab. As part of recent space planning strategies, we have been working to gradually transition the adult computer lab, gradually, we don't want to make it too difficult for people, into a future meeting space for technology programs and meetings and presentations requiring technology. To complete this plan, we must address the heating and cooling issue that still exists in that space if the space is to be enclosed as a room once again. To this end, we have determined that the time has come for us to execute the solution to the room's problems that we could not previously afford. The glass must be replaced in the windows, and an independently controlled cooling system must be installed in the room. The board packet includes a quote for the glass, framing for the windows, and an independent cooling system recommended by an independent HVAC consultant and quoted by the contractor that maintains and services the library's HVAC system. The total cost of these remaining project tasks is $12,236.50. Investing this money into the room in this manner will allow the space to become more flexible and transition it into additional meeting space for library programs, groups that would like to rent the room, and collaborative meetings with library partners. The money for this project is available in undesignated revenues, as we just discussed. Okay. Any questions, comments, concerns? You have a little spreadsheet that shows the total and how we got to that total, the glass, the framing for the glass, and the independent cooling system.
So Springer is the vendor for that?
Springer is the vendor for the heating and cooling system. I did have an independent contractor determine what we should do in the room, and that was done a few years ago. And basically, there's two pieces that Springer has quoted here. The first piece is this independent cooling system, and the second piece is to add, which is included in there, a damper that would allow, the problem with that particular room is it actually gets heat from two sources. It gets the heat that comes from, it's actually tied to the HVAC unit of this room because it's on the other side of that wall. So that's where it gets its main heat. But then it also, because it's physically located and its door is in with the adult seating area, it gets heat from the Beast, which is the main heating and cooling unit that heats the entire main section of the library. So it's getting two sources. Plus it has that east-facing window. So in the morning, all that sunshine comes in and the room heats up, and then it gets these two sources of heat.
It's a problem.
It becomes a little sauna in there. So what they would do is they would put in dampers that would allow for that heat to be blocked out of that room unless it was needed, in which case the dampers would automatically open and it would allow it to come in. And then the other piece is a cooling system, because what really is the problem is that room overheats. So we need something that would allow us to control the cooling in that room.
And where is that system going to be located?
It's actually a very small, compact system, and it goes right into the room.
Okay.
So it's completely, it does vent to the outside, and there's a thing in here that shows you how it's all done. This is a really, really nice system. It's considered to be very energy efficient, but it is designed for individual rooms. I have seen it in places that are like B&Bs where you can rent an entire teeny tiny little cottage or whatever. That's the kind of heating and cooling that they often use in those. So, okay. Any other questions about that?
As always, thorough job has been done in exploring before we see this.
Well, we tried to find as inexpensive a way to do this, but it really is a problem if we want to use that room technology-wise. It just wasn't designed for that.
So for $12,000, approximately, we can use that room for this.
$12,300 is what I'm asking for a budget adjustment.
How many people will that be able to hold for a meeting?
Well, I actually had 3 different meetings with the fire marshal in terms of that space, and he played with the algorithm a number of times. So it really depends on the way that it's set up, but I think he put in a maximum of 25, which that room would not be comfortable for 25, but I would assume probably in the probably 12 to 15 range.
Okay.
Yeah, so, and the tables that we bought for that space, now, while right now they are actually connected together in a particular configuration, we very strategically purchased tables that there's just little bolts underneath them that when we unhook them, all the tables are separate. They're all on their own wheels, and the flat part of the table actually flips vertically, so you can put it against the wall. And the chairs are all on wheels, so we can move things around very easily. When we stop using it as a computer lab, we would just unhook those tables and make them.
So actually, if we were just sitting in there in chairs, We could
You
feed
could
a
maybe
few
get
more
20.
people.
Maybe
You
20 or-
could probably do 20 to 25 if you were doing it, say, theater style.
And not using the
Right.
Yep.
Okay.
Mhm.
technology so much.
Yep, but it's currently set up to seat, I believe, 15. So
How many-
tables.
How many people does this room, is this room rated
Good
for? do you
question.
know?
I think this room is a little overrated for how many it will hold. This room is rated chairs only at 206.
Wow.
And its tables and chairs at 96. Now, the reason being, this is an algorithm, remember, when he's calculating all these things. And there's a couple of things that they take into consideration. One thing they take into consideration is the direction that the doors open. So the doors open out, making it easy to escape if there's an issue. And the other thing is, for the size of the room, there are actually two very good escape routes, because that is a fire exit that opens out, plus it has easy access down to the grass because we put in that extra step. So while we wouldn't probably pack the room to the gills in that manner, we technically could, because if there were a fire, as far as the fire marshal is concerned, it would be really quick and easy to evacuate this room. That particular room only has one exit. Yep, so that would limit the space. There's also our other meeting room, our youth activities room is interesting. That algorithm, that particular room, the number is drawn down because those doors open in instead of out. And the reason they open in is because if we had people, say, coming from story time, swinging those doors open, we would be flattening small children on a regular basis. And there isn't a secondary exit out of that room. So for that particular reason, while it's not illegal for them to be opening in, it does severely limit the number of people that you're allowed to have in that room. And that algorithm takes all of that into consideration. And like I said, I had 3 meetings with the fire marshal on this because of it.
And I hope these young library designers
Yeah.
were
Yeah.
apprised of these
Yeah.
kinds of things that the normal layperson doesn't think about.
It was an interesting conversation, and yeah, we did actually talk a little bit about that when we were talking about that particular thing and where you store tables and what do you do with the chairs and that kind of thing. So, indeed.
Are these easy to connect and unconnect, to say the tables? There would be some for the custodians, whoever was handling them?
Well, at this point, they are connected
Mhm.
because you want the configuration to stay in place.
Mhm.
And this, if you were to unconnect them, they would be like these tables where we could just move them around. And in order to keep them from sliding, instead of connecting them together, you would just lock their wheels. So, yes, they'd be very, very easy.
And it would be an easy switch.
So there are multiple options.
Yep, and one of the reasons that we wanted to get those particular tables for that room is we would like to test drive them, because at some point we'll need to redo this room, and we want to make sure we like them before we start investing. I would hate to go through and buy a whole bunch and then discover we don't love them. But so far, we've really liked them. That particular room is getting good usage.
Well, the being able to store them without having to turn them over and fold legs in and do
Yeah.
all of that in order to store them flat, just to be able to drop the top down and wheel it over, that's,
Yeah, they're pretty amazing tables, and when we were looking at them, they gave us a whole list of libraries that had purchased them, and we libraries stick together. We compare notes very easily. There's no competition here. If the library hates something that they bought, they are not shy about telling everybody else about it. And if they love it, then everybody buys them. So this particular product is something that people really love.
So we're moving in the area of making all of our spaces more useful and more accessible.
Yeah.
and kind of in a multitasking, it can be used for this or this, which is, that's a really good thing, because we have limited space, so if any one space can be used for different uses.
So much the better.
Yeah.
Well, we're trying to look at it in terms of making sure that the public knows we're getting the most bang for their buck in terms of maximizing every square inch of this building. So, when we started hearing, well, we need more meeting room spaces, and we started looking around and saying, wow, okay, well, if we do this in the business center, we can create this little meeting space. If we do this in the computer lab, people are moving out into this public area with their personal devices and the Wi-Fi, well, then let's put the windows back in this room and create this little meeting space and make it available, so, for programs and meetings and things like that.
I have another issue that came up that isn't based on the actual dynamics of the room, but do we have any signage that encourages people to not make cell phone calls?
We've struggled with that, to be honest, because cell phones are such an active part of people's lives now. We used to. But what we discovered is it was a little bit of a losing battle in terms of people being connected all the time. So we do actually have quiet zones in the library. The computer lab is a quiet zone, no cell phones in the computer lab. You need to silence your phones there. And in the Catella alcove.
And there are
then
signs.
That's where the person actually has had a couple of
Yeah,
instances in the
and
Catella.
so if people do have trouble, they should talk to one of the service desks, either the circulation desk or the information desk in the library, and say to people, you know, our policy is we encourage people to please be conscientious and considerate, especially in those bigger public areas. But the argument that we had to reconcile was a conversation between two people sitting at a table can be just as loud as a person on a cell phone.
And it can be, if you get animated, and, you know, especially.
And people
if you're working
do
with a
get
group.
animated.
Right.
So we
Sometimes
started,
the children are.
so we adapted our policy to try and develop, because we have such an open floor plan, and to be perfectly honest, I love our open floor plan, but there are days when it's a challenge. So we try really hard to designate quiet zones, and the Catella alcove is a really nice quiet zone because that display case creates a nice sound barrier. But then sometimes we have to go in and remind people that, you know,
This area.
yeah, please take your cell phone over there so you're not disturbing other people in that area. And the same thing with the computer lab, because there are people who are doing projects, who are, you know, working on their resume, that kind of thing, so.
Just that continual reminder.
Right.
Sounds like it's a continuing problem, though.
Well, it's a change in the culture, so it's not even, that's the problem, it's
Right,
we're
yeah,
learning
yeah.
how to adapt.
Takes a while to
That's
catch
a good
up.
way,
It
I
does.
agree.
Yeah, we have to learn
So
how
do
to
we need a
adapt.
motion for this?
I'll accept one, yes.
I approve the project to replace the glass and upgrade the HVAC in the computer lab as presented, and approve a budget adjustment of $12,300 from undesignated revenue to line 975, building.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we replace the glass, upgrade the HVAC, and approve the budget adjustment of $12,300 from undesignated revenue to line item 975. Any comments or further questions about the project? No? Those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion is carried. And again, we want to thank everyone who's involved in doing all of the background work to make these presentations to the board.
Yes, right.
And at this time, I'll accept a motion for adjournment, Dan.
So moved.
Second. It's been moved and seconded.
That's my function. That's how I contribute to this.
It's been moved and seconded that we adjourn. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? We are adjourned at 6:52.